Google Analytics has so many features, we could be here for hours talking about all of them. So in this guide, we're going to 80-20 the process, more like 90-10, all of the features so you can focus on where your traffic is coming from, who they are, what they're doing on your site, and hopefully this will give you insights on how to actually get more. So timestamps below, along with some other helpful links and resources, including a link to a Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics guide to actually getting the code on your site. So for purposes of this guide, we'll assume that the tag and all of the tracking is already on your website. So jumping into my screen here, I am in the admin right now. So if you ever want to add someone to your account, you can add them at the account level, which gives them access to all of your properties, aka your websites, or you can add them on an individual website basis by clicking Property Management. If you ever need to get your data streams or your ID, that's what you use to put on your website so you can actually run all this tracking, you can always come into your account, your property that you want to do it for, click on Data Streams, and you'll be able to add a stream if you have subdomains, you're doing something fancy, or you can just go ahead and click on the one that you're already working with and you can copy your measurement ID. And so with that, we're ready to answer the question, where's our traffic coming from? So I'll jump over here to Reports, and then I'm going to come down to Acquisition, and we'll just start with Acquisition Overview. So of course, this is going to give you a quick overview of your site traffic over the last 28 days. Now, user acquisition and traffic acquisition, this is a little confusing, but user acquisition, this is going to tell you where new people are coming from. So this is all new people here. Whereas traffic acquisition is going to tell you everybody, right? So we'll go ahead and just go to traffic acquisition here, and then we'll jump down to our report. So obviously this isn't going to be super helpful. You probably already know where you're promoting your website. So what you can do is click this drop-down menu and select Session Source Medium. So this is going to give you some more information about the specific site or platform people are coming from, and then the type of traffic. So you'll see here YouTube Organic. This means these are people clicking links in YouTube descriptions, right? So just YouTube Organic versus if it said YouTube Paid, then I would know that these are people coming from a YouTube ad. So if you start running any sort of paid advertising or you do a lot of affiliate promotions, then paid and referral is going to give you some insights into how those particular campaigns or marketing is going. And if you ever want to learn more about what these specific columns mean, then I'll go ahead and make this a little bigger here so we have more. You can always mouse over up here and it will give you a quick little drop down of what it means. And we'll talk more about the conversions and revenue columns when we get to the last section. So I'll go ahead down to this arrow here, bring back our menu. And now that we know where our traffic is coming from, let's take a look at who is actually showing up to our site. Now, unfortunately, this is quite disappointing, right? So we'll go to Demographics Overview here. And once we do, we can see that we can see users by country, but the gender, age, even the interests aren't showing up. And so even though the universal version of analytics still shows this information, you definitely want to make sure that you have Google Analytics 4 installed on your site now. That's why it's so important that you get it on your site now, because for all we know, Google's just taking their time collecting that data for us and eventually they will show it. Or turns out that they're just, spoofing us all and this is always going to be blank. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt here, but we do want to make sure that Google Analytics 4, which is what we're looking at here, is on your site. So if you're made it this far and you're like, this looks a little different, make sure you have the proper version because the older version is going away a few months from the posting of this video. So it's really important that you get up to speed with this version and not the older one. So as we can see here, if we jump into demographic details, unfortunately, all we have is countries and locations at this time. So if we went and selected age or gender, we're not going to get anything yet. So again, hopefully that shows up. The only other thing that we have insights on as to who is coming to our site is we can go to Tech Overview and we can see the devices and even the operating systems or type of browser someone's coming to our site. This isn't really important. We all know we need to have mobile responsive websites, and unless you have an app, this is kind of useless. So it's there and it's nice, but you're really not going to use it for any key decision making. Now, something you probably will use for key decision making is the next part in understanding what are people doing on our site? And to do that, we're going to come over here to engagement, and we're going to come down to pages and conversions. It almost sounded like I said coin, slurring my words. Here we go. So I'm going to take this away and we'll scroll down here. And now we're looking at the most popular pages on our site. So this isn't necessarily how people are the first page they're coming to our site. These are the pages that are getting the most traffic. So this first one you can see not set. That's most likely our home page. We can come up here and we can actually have path and screen class. So if we do that, now we can see the actual URL path, and you can see it's /nothing. That lets us know that this is actually the homepage. And so as you can see, we have 2 pages here. These are the 2 pages that these are. These are landing pages that we link to in a lot of YouTube tutorials. So of course they tend to get the most traffic, way more than like our homepage. But we can see here, free tools, that this is a page on our main website. So if we're thinking about improving our site or figuring out maybe where we're losing people on our site without creating a custom report, then we can come in here and see which pages we should spend our time on. So based upon the last 28 days here, these 2 landing pages are the ones that we should really focus on improving the conversion rates or driving more traffic to, because it seems like we're getting a lot of views there. Now, unfortunately, if we come all the way to this column, conversions is blank. So this leads us to the last step, and this is where Google Analytics goes from, oh, that's not so bad, just a couple of reports, I already have the code on my site, okay, this is making sense, to, oh my gosh, what is a data layer? Why do I need to set up all these custom events? And where are my conversions and revenue numbers? So I highly recommend you go check out the Metrics School channel and the Analytics Mania channel. Both those channels have a lot of deep dive information on how to actually set up custom events. So if you want to track custom events, we'll jump back in our dashboard here and we'll come over to events. You'll see that Google Analytics has a couple for us already. But what we can do is we can actually start tracking specific actions people take on our site. For example, when someone purchases, how much they purchased. We can also have Google Analytics figuring out our total transaction value with almost any software that you're using. Or maybe you just want to know how many people joined your email list from this page, right? And so that's something that you can set up with events. So just go ahead, YouTube University, you don't need to buy a course to do this. Just go ahead and search how to set up custom events in GA4, and you're going to go down just hours of rabbit holes in terms of how to set it up for your specific site. But this is where you go from beginner to more advanced and expert. But everything we've talked about up until this point, you can do with just the simple Google Analytics code on your site. Now, unfortunately, as of the recording of this guide, Google Analytics still does not have all the UTM parameters actually showing up in reports. So if you're like, what the heck are UTM parameters? Don't worry about it. You don't know what you're missing out on. And if you do, then you're not crazy. It's just not there yet. But to help you with setting up your tracking links, I'll leave a link in the cards and the description to a full-blown guide that goes through how to set up UTM parameters, as well as a link in the description to our UTM tool. Again, if you're like, what the heck are UTMs and why should I care? Don't worry about it. It doesn't really matter until Google Analytics 4 actually catches up. For now, just focus on the reports that we went through to help improve your website. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got some value out of this video. Most importantly, you're a little more confident with analytics. And yes, there's a lot in here, but when it comes to actually making some decisions before you dive down the rabbit hole of setting up custom events, there's not a whole lot you really need to pay attention to until you want to get that advanced. So hit that like button, subscribe for more guides just like this one, and until the next, keep building the business you love.